Hey folks, welcome to the channel. I don't do reviews, but today I'm going to make an exception for my channel as this is the official licensed shell service station from CADA, which you might not know are a high quality Chinese model company utilizing plastic bricks just like Lego. And from the outset, I can tell you now, this is an excellent model, but this is a review, so we will address a few issues, but just look at this set. It is stunning. This isn't a speed build video, it's a comprehensive review. And I'll also point out clearly that I haven't been sponsored. I bought this myself a few weeks ago independently. This shell breakdown truck is a mock that I built myself. It's not included in the set. The set did include a little car, but I've used those parts in this mock. And this is the service station now in my city. It does have lights, but they're not on. I'll show you the lights later on. And you can see I've adapted it a bit to fit into the space that I've got for it. For my scene in the city, I've placed a large signage at the front and added a lane down here with plants down one side too, but I'll show you all that later. Because let's go back a bit to when this was delivered. It took 7 or 8 days to arrive once my order had been placed, and it was a tracked delivery. I could see updates via a link in my emails. The set cost me $109.99 or £86, and that included shipping, and it has a total of 1,309 pieces. So already, compared to Lego on the basis of price to parts ratio, it's very good value. If this set were Lego, it would easily be £150 or even more, so you might as well double it to £160. It's definitely value for money, and I'll explain that in the video and talk about the quality and everything, the build experience. It really is worth the money. The packaging, very good. I was genuinely impressed because the box art is brilliant. There's a glossy embossed print of the building, which I hope you can see on the camera. And of course, I am going to compare this to Lego, and to be honest, this has a feel of quality that actually exceeds Lego. There is this matte effect on the rest of the box, so that glossy embossed printing, it really stands out. The box also isn't flimsy or cheap, it's a relatively sturdy and rigid cardboard. And it has all the usual information on the back, which I was surprised was all in English. No Mandarin or Cantonese on it, which I was actually expecting, and that would have been absolutely fine as well. But quite a surprise to see it was all in English. It also has a decent bit of weight, and that subconsciously makes you feel like you've got a quality product. So let's break the seals. The box is more like a tray with a lid, and coming from someone who throws away all my Lego boxes, I certainly won't be throwing this away, I'll be reusing it. Inside, all the bits are in labelled bags, pretty much identical to how Lego do it as well. There are some unnumbered bags with larger elements, and all the printed tiles and stuff are also in separate bags too, which are not numbered. The USB light kit, which comes as standard, is also in a separate bag. Probably the best thing about this set, no stickers. Yeah, you heard that correct. Everything is printed like it should be in a set like this, and the printing is generally very good. There are only some minor niggles, which again I'll cover later. One other oddity though is the bags are either numbered number 1 or number 2, so when you come to build, you have loads of parts to sift through in each stage, but it's not really that big a deal, it's just a little bit more time consuming. Now, the instruction booklet. I mean, does it have to be nice? Well, yeah, to me it does, and it's very high quality. The printing is top notch. The instructions themselves are identical to how LEGO would produce instructions for a set like this. I am going to be mentioning LEGO many times in this review, as CADA is a rival, and they have tried to emulate the LEGO build experience and use parts that are essentially the same as LEGO, so we're going to have to compare the both producers. And there's even a parts list at the back, just like LEGO have at the end of their instruction books as well. So this is it. It sits on a 32 deep base plate by 48 studs wide, which is ideal for my city as I have lots of 16 stud wide buildings, so I can adapt it to fit anywhere really, and they have very deliberately tried to make this compatible with LEGO modular buildings. One of my standout features though is the forecourt rooftop and the logo, the curved sections. It looks perfect and it's in scale with modular buildings. Okay, however, the pumps themselves are not in the correct scale. They are clearly too big and the pumps are very much too high, but I'm giving them a big green tick for detail and signage because I can forgive them all day on the scaling because the details are out of this world. One example of odd scaling is this bin. They've made a printed section look like the gap for rubbish and they've put diesel and petrol prints on the other side, but the bin is far too big. But I would simply say it just doesn't matter. It's meant to represent the fueling section of the forecourt, and I'd rather have all the details over accuracy on heights of bins. Speaking of which, there's loads of lovely, good quality printed tiles all over this thing. I love the Shell Select double-sided sign here, and especially the V-Power Shell signs above and here are huge, and when you come to build this actually, you need to pay particular attention when doing it, as the white edging for the left signs is different to the right-sided one, and you need to line up the tiles correctly. It's also easy to mix up the large forecourt sign one as well, as it's different. The sign is split over a 2x6 and a 1x6 tile. So if you're going to buy this set, which I recommend you do, when you come to this section, pay attention to what's going on with the lines on the edge. Another thing about scale, the bucket is totally out of scale compared to the pumps, and the plant, it does look nice, but again, it looks tiny compared to the rest of the petrol station. And I would also say it's the only part I felt was lower in quality. The type of plastic doesn't match what I was expecting compared to the rest of the set. But the car wash signs, again, excellent printing, and they're split over a brick and a plate, and there's no blurred printing at all. The car wash is cute with a wee hose on the top, and there's rotating bristles here, and you can fit a small 4-stud wide car that comes with the set, and at a push a 6-stud wide one will fit too. There's a wee tray at the back that the car fits onto. It's very limited in what can go in here, but you know what? It's just a lovely extra feature that they didn't even need to include, but it's a really nice addition and it finishes the look of the garage. The forecourt rooftop is made with very, very large white tiles. I don't know exactly how big they are. There's also some 2x8 tiles, and there's a lip which is roughly a brick in height, and snot technique used for the edges, which gives the whole thing a very nice clean look. It's sort of bulky and it just looks realistic. Similarly, the shop rooftop uses big white panels as well, and again it's a really nice finished look. Personally, I love the look of the back entrance. The panels with the Shell logos are brilliant. The printing is glossy, it's very nice. And of course, this all opens up. And I have bungled in here the USB light, which normally hangs out the back. Inside there are some interesting builds. The retail shelves with snacks and other products. The cashier desk has a computer build, which is very cute. I love the printing on the computer screen and the till as well. Simple yet effective, and the mouse as well, that's cute. So let's take this off. There's some blink and you'll miss it signage above here for sandwiches and a nice go well and a welcome shell sign. The behind the cashier printed scene is really clever as well, and the printing for that is matte, which is a wee bit different, but again it's very nice. Tucked away in here is a refrigerator with juice and milk. There's a printed deli sign and some double doors. So everything in here is minifigure scale. You know, the doors, they're identical to Lego ones, so it's all meant to revolve around the scaling of a figure. Oddly though, the floor isn't tiled, but it's not a big deal. I suppose it means you can move these things around a wee bit without having to stick to the plan, because the tiles will prevent that. There's more signage above here as well. Now for the lights, I did struggle a little bit to follow the instructions about putting this all together, but it's more me being a bit stupid than the instructions, because really they are clear. I just doubted myself that I was doing the right thing. But honestly, if you just follow the instructions, it ends up lining up perfectly, and the lights will look very realistic when they're on. You do have to cycle through them a wee bit to get the lights to stay on, because some just flash. It's a bit like Christmas lights, so finding the right one takes a minute or two. One annoying criticism is the rooftop. I have added a few more plates on the inside of the build because it was a bit, not flimsy, but it was kind of like warped. It would twist and you could bend it too much. So it was lacking in rigidity, so adding plates sorted that problem. Next, the large forecourt sign. It is a separate build and you can place it anywhere. And I think that's a really good idea. Rather than trying to incorporate it into the base, you put it where you want. And the build technique uses simple studs on side bricks, but creates a nice flush finish. But oh man, the printing on this whole sign though is the best. The shell logos have that gloss and sheen, and the deli and the V power signs have a more matte effect. It just oozes quality and realism, and I can imagine the Shell executives looking at this for the first time and feeling very happy about it. They must have been really chuffed with themselves, and CADA have knocked it out the park. I might sound a bit mental getting so excited about printed tiles, but this is so refreshing and it's so nice not to have to use bloody stickers. So one issue that might arise for some folks is the height of the base, as it's basically a brick high, so 2 plates with a tile on top thickness, so it's just ever so slightly out. For me, it's absolutely perfect, as my modulars sit on 5mm foam board, which is on top of a base plate. So the standard road plate fitting next to it is just a plate lower than the shell station. So if you have Mills plates, it will be slightly lower also, but there's no reason you can't just adapt it or modify it to fit, and it's very easy to do so. I'll show you, because if I take this apart here, you can see it's just plates with tiled floor sections, so you have a degree of flexibility to do what you want, as it's just brick built like Lego. So there's no chunky base section, is kind of what I mean, that you're kind of stuck with, that you can't move or change. Let's talk about probably the main criticism that I've seen flung at this set, and that's partly scale, but also the position of the pumps themselves. And for sure, it's a valid criticism. Here I have my 6 stud wide truck. It's just fine here at the pump, but in universe this makes no sense. Would a vehicle really have to reverse into the forecourt like this? No, it wouldn't do that. There would of course be space between the shop and the pumps to drive around. But you know what? For the convenience of you, the target market, which needs 32 stud base plates to fit into modulars, that's why they've bunched it together, and it makes sense. And the cool thing is though, you can fit 3 6 stud wide vehicles on here, and to me, that's more important. I'd rather have more vehicles on this than sacrifice all this space just so you can put one vehicle around it. I did consider though modifying it to put the pumps facing the other way and just have one pump and maybe using both sides going across the ways, but why? Why bother? There's no reason. The other criticism, which is valid, is scaling to minifigures. The shop and the car wash are fine, but the pumps themselves and the bins, of course, are way off. They're just so big compared to a Lego figure, and that's probably why they haven't included a figure in the set. But it's such a non-thing, honestly. You're not getting this to be in scale to figures. It's all about the details, the printing, and you know what? The pumps look perfect. Just don't put a figure standing next to them. One really key thing though that they totally nailed was the instructions. They've done a very nice job with the photos, everything is well laid out, and it was my biggest concern when I was buying the set was how good are the instructions going to be and the steps to follow, and I was so pleasantly surprised. I have had a few Kobe sets and the instructions weren't great. I've never had a CADA set, so I just didn't know what to expect. CADA have clearly got a top design team on par with Lego, as this set is designed just like a Lego set with all the same considerations and all the criteria they must meet, and of course testing, satisfying the customer, particularly with things like no stickers. Speaking of which, the graphics team have done a perfect job. The set looks amazing and they know the market. They know how to please us and what we're looking for. That sense of realism, and this is an adult orientated set with compatibility for a modular city, and it does of course have play features, and the addition of lights included in the price makes it frankly outstanding value. And that's obviously a key thing for this market. I do think the instructions in particular convey that sense of quality, and I'll just flick through so you can see what I mean. Each section is laid out nicely with the parts needed, and each step is very clear. Again, of course, we're going to compare this to Lego, and it's pretty much like for like. A nice touch as well is they do show the other CADA sets on the back, which is kind of weird though, because they're great looking sets, but if you've already bought this, you're probably not going to buy those other sets. You've already kind of got what you need. I made the decision right from the offset with my city not to do an octane petrol station, as everyone does that. I have seen some great shell ones, of course. Bricks did one, and I was going to do something similar. I was going to get custom printed signs and buy old shell sets as well. I actually have an old Lego one from the 80s already, but when I saw this, I just couldn't believe how good it looked. And it has been a really enjoyable build. It's value for money, the lights are great, and it's not a commonly available set like Lego sets, so it's gonna stand out and it's gonna be different to other folks' cities, and that's what I'm all about. And that's also why I built a shell recovery truck as well. Briefly touch on that, I just recolored the truck that came with the corner garage, and I used a printed shell curved tile that came with this CADA set. There was a wee car build, so I pinched that and went with a mainly yellow and white colour scheme with a red stripe down the centre, and used black for the bumpers, the fairings and the wheel arches. So in my city I have these cobbled roads as side streets, so I built one down the side and the truck will be parked here, and I've left there a wee gap for the big sign, and I built a brick built wall for plants and trees, which I've taken away here so you can see the build a bit better. And the lights just look magic. This set really works here. So I've got the lights plugged into a phone charger, but in future I'll use a battery pack for Lego shows and all that. Inside you can see how effective the lights are, and it looks great. Down this end of the city, I wanted a garage to anchor the end section, and I think you'll agree its size is perfect. CADA knew exactly what they were doing. It's just the right size to fit in with modulars. To adapt it, I did add some curved grey tiles for cars to drive on and off the road. You can still play with it, it fits. I've got my 6-stud wide police car here, and even though it's a modern looking station, it is kinda timeless. Petrol stations have kinda looked the same since the 70s, I suppose. Although this sign does block the view partially, to me it completes the look, and from afar that big Shell logo draws the eye immediately to this corner. And anyone walking past, particularly at LEGO shows, they just won't be able to help themselves but look at all the details in the printed signage. CADA have done a great job. Shell made a good decision. The lighting is fantastic, it fits with LEGO modulars, there are scaling issues, but it's negligible, and the price is very, very good. It's a 10 out of 10 for me. I'll forgive the minor quirks with the pump size, for the price and all the things I've said, it's just brilliant. Anyways, let me know what you think of the set. I hope you liked my review. It is the first. I tried to be balanced and fair, and I probably won't ever do a review again, but I did just love it so much, and it was really hard not to be biased. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Bye.